but yeah, I want to compete against my friends, like my teammates, because you never get a
Yeah.
chance to play against them,
Mm.
and now you do.
Would you say then beating Scotland would be peak of your rugby career?
Yeah, yeah. I mean
Okay.
that's a difficult question because obviously there's a World Cup, but the performances at the World Cup didn't really match up with what our expectations. But Scotland was massive. I mean, that was we were really hitting a sweet spot as a team that sort of summer. We had a good core group of guys. Things were firing for us. Set piece and forwards play was excellent. And structures were really good. And I think it was funnily like we like that week we were just like, yeah, we're gonna beat them. Like
Mm.
there was no hesitation about like our game plan or what we needed to do. And sometimes going into these matches against tier one teams, the mindset's a bit like you can just see with the boys like, oh, like we want to try to do a few things really well and see what happens, see if we can stick with them. But that week against Scotland, everyone was just like, yeah, we got these guys.
Mm.
And by the skin of our teeth, just barely got them at the end. So um, yeah, and also maybe helped that it was 40 degrees and 100% humidity.
Yeah. Well, here, take it. Still a huge
Yeah,
win against the proper tier one side.
yeah.
Um, and so, Nick, tell us a bit more just then about where you're at now in the MLR, kind of how just we're passionate fans of the MLR. We love it. We love to see it. We want to see it grow for the not just for the sake of American rugby, but just rugby as a whole. So tell us about just your experience in that, where you see the future of the MLR, where it's going. Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, well, you've actually caught me at an interesting time. I
Okay.
literally just flown over to New York, and I haven't actually had my first training. So I've been studying in
Wow.
the UK for the
Oh,
last
okay.
sort of part time since September. Been doing a master's, and I'm just joining up with Rugby United New York like at the end of the week because I'm actually in quarantine at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. So I mean, I follow it religiously, obviously, because it's my country and I have a lot of friends who play in the league. But having watched the last couple of years and how the league's developed, this year seems to be, COVID notwithstanding, an important step because the league is committed to, a lot of media around the league and broadcasting for free across the world with high quality broadcasts,
Yeah.
like really like taking that next step
Mm,
up from sort of where it started 3 years ago. um, so yeah, I mean, like I'm still like just getting involved personally.
mm,
I expect that I know the coaches in New York very well, and a lot of the players. Like I know what sort of level I'm jumping into, and I expect it to be good. Like I watch the training, I watch the games, and this is these are teams that can compete in the championship.
okay. Wow.
Easily. Like I think it's the first couple weeks have been interesting because you can see boys are rusty because they haven't played in a year, but like the quality of athlete is exceptional. The quality of coaching is really good and
Mm,
going to improve year on year. Um, and and yeah, I think the future is really bright. Assuming that this year can happen without much
of course.
disruption from COVID. It's yeah, it's incredibly exciting, and to be here home in New York and playing, you know, maybe in a few months playing in front of my family and friends, which is kind of like the
Mm,
be all end all as a rugby player.
mm,
Couldn't imagine like growing up in Dublin playing for Leinster and like every week having your friends and family there. Like it just
mm,
sounds ideal, and for me that's what this is it's it's that ability to play in front of people who are like, oh, what's Nick been doing for the last 10 years? He hasn't been around,
mm.
and then you're there, and people are seeing rugby, and you're creating a fan base. So yeah, I'm very passionate about the MLR, and I really hope that it takes off.
Mm. And so, what? Yeah, just one of the thing I've kind of been thinking about the MLR is when you compare it to the MLS, because obviously in America you have your major sports, your American football, baseball, basketball, um, and the kind of the MLS is definitely growing, is kind of
Hmm.
people want to kind of watch football more and stuff like that. But one thing I've noticed about the MLS is that it has this kind of structure where it's like a developing league. So it brings in a lot of young talent, a lot of young players, develops them, and then kind of like sells them on. Be quite similar to the Dutch league, is what they base their model off. Would you see the MLR having a similar kind of struck model in terms of bringing in a lot of academy players? Something we've talked about in the pod a lot is Leinster, Munster academies, even Ulster academies have such a surplus of players. Most talented players only get 1 or 2 games a year in their kind of key developing years. And so, like, is the MLR an option for them?
Yeah, I think you see a bit of that already with young players coming over. There's some clubs have partnerships with different unions. So
Okay.
some Kiwi unions are associated with certain clubs, and there's a bit of player transfer. The old Glory, the DC club is associated with the SRU, Scottish Rugby Union. So like, I think they get player exchange. I can't remember who's playing there from Scotland now. Callum Gibbons maybe. And yeah, I think there's scope for that. I mean, we want to be a league that develops American players, but like to have to have a kid come over who's 20 years old, who's spent 2 years in a professional academy, like that has weight and that has experience, and he's going to come and help out the young Americans who've just been drafted out of university to play in the MLR, because he'll be able to impart knowledge from a young age, and he'll grow as well, because it is a different experience, and he'll have a lot more responsibility as a a young experienced player from abroad. So I think there is scope for that. I think you will see people coming over, and everywhere I've played as well, everyone wants to come to play in the U.S. It's like the first thing they'll ask is like, "Oh yeah, that MLR. Like, should I try to get over there?" They don't realize, like, well, two things. It's not financially what it needs to be yet to attract the best players. Well, in certain circumstances, I think there's a bit of there's certain ways that guys can get paid that allow them to still make the salary cap.
Okay.
And then what was my second point there? Yeah, it's very difficult to get a visa. So like, if you want to be a foreign player, you need to have played internationally or for sevens or something, and you need to be able to demonstrably better than, at least to the visa department, than an American counterpart. So it's difficult. It's not just for everyone. It's like you can't just be like a really talented prop who's played in the championship, because you're just not going to get, your visa is just not going to get approved. So it's tough. So a lot of the guys who come over have some sort of American heritage or this or that, where they can use a passport, or Canadian, same thing, Canadian heritage.
No, that's really interesting. I didn't know that, because I guess me and Zach were saying, like, why aren't people that are playing more like, why would you play at Doncaster when you can be playing in Vegas every week? But I guess as you said, it's just a lot more complicated. For you personally, are you excited to go up against your Matt Gittos and playing with Ben Foden and actual like big international stars, Adam Ashley Cooper, like there's Chris Robshaw, the names go on now, that people that are coming over to that league?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's exciting. I'm excited to play with my teammates in New York, Ben and Dylan. But the thing for me is like playing against my USA teammates. Like, that's what I care about. Like, those are the guys those are my good friends, and they're super talented, and we all want to beat the crap out of each other to make each other better. So I think like that's what excites me, and it's great to have these professional guys come in and impart their knowledge, and you hope they're all here for the right reasons. Because that's a big thing as well, is you want guys to come over and commit to developing rugby and developing players, and not just come over for some drinks and a few rugby matches. So yeah, I think, it's exciting. You want to play against the best, and when there's big names playing, there's more eyes on. So it definitely ups the stakes a little bit. But yeah, I want to compete against my friends, like my teammates, because you never get a chance to play against them, and now you do.